Well, welcome into the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. And man, we are already in week number 5 of the college football season. Earlier this week, we had on our show, State of the Dogs, where we looked at kind of a recap of the Florida loss and a little bit of a preview of the Texas game. This week, or pardon me, this episode, we are looking at our picks for week number 5. And man, Austin, how are you feeling, man? Already at week number 5 in the football season.
Feeling great, feeling great. This is my first time coming on this type of the podcast, and I look forward to it. It's a lot. It's really fun talking about Mississippi State football. Obviously, it's very near and dear to my heart. But I mean, college football as a whole is very near and dear to my heart, and it's so good just to talk about other teams in Mississippi State. Obviously, this year especially. But yeah, I'm looking forward to just diving in every single week, talking about predictions. I love making predictions, even if it's just by myself. I love just seeing how it's going to play out, and I look forward to it. It's going to be a fun little thing we do every single week, and yeah, I look forward to getting started.
Yeah, and last week in the pick show, we did pretty well. Nebraska and Illinois was a big game, and I think Nebraska was picked to win by 8 or more. And that was a game we picked to not finish in that manner, and a couple other games that we did fairly well on. But we'll see how we do this week. And before we even get into picks, we'll talk a little bit about some Mississippi State news, some unfortunate news for them from last night. But before we even get to all of that and the picks and the news, we just want to say for all those who are listening for the very first time, welcome. As we move this show from our traditional spot to MPW Digital, man, we're so thankful for everyone watching us for the very first time. MPW Digital is a network that we watched for a while that had some very good quality shows on it. Obviously, there are several individual shows that are not only football related. They have all kinds of entertaining things on there. But as we looked at it, we noticed, it does not have a place for Mississippi State. And we thought that we would be a good partner to do that. And if you obviously, for those of you who are listening to us for the very first time, you should know. But we'd love for you to go back and listen to some of our previous episodes. But we try to be as objective as we can. We are both from Starkville, Mississippi. Neither of us we both live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So that's an odd pairing. But we try to be objective with these things. I have a newspaper background of covering teams and being on the beat. And we want to do the same thing for Mississippi State. And when things are going well, point out that, man, things are going well in this area. When things are not going very well, we're going to talk about that as well. And we hope that we can build some trust along with the listeners. So welcome to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. We're so excited to get started. Austin, last night, wide receiver Creed Whittemore, the four-star guy from Florida, decided to shut it down for the rest of the season on the Bulldogs. He decided he's going to redshirt for the rest of the season. And without saying it, it appears as if he is likely going to enter the portal at the end of the season. Really an unfortunate thing for Mississippi State. From Creed's perspective, I get it. But listen to Creed's stats at Mississippi State. He very underutilized. He averaged nearly 15 yards every time he touched the ball, whether it's a carry or catch, 15 yards. But he's underutilized. He had only a total of 20 total touches in the 2 years. It seemed like when he got the ball, good things happen. And it wasn't just in garbage time either. It was usually early in the games, first quarter of games, and then they just wouldn't see him again. And so, man, I don't know. What do you make of this news for Mississippi State likely losing Creed Whittemore?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. You sent me the tweet, and honestly, dude, I thought it was fake. I really did. I thought it was people being funny about, talking about the UNLV and Bear Alexander stuff. And so, I did my research on Twitter about it and saw that it was real. And man, it hurt. Creed's a guy that, he's been in our rotation a lot more this year, but still not enough. And yeah, it really, really sucks. Like you said, I don't see him coming back. I mean, why would he if he's already, taking his red shirt by choice? Like, I just don't understand, like, why he would come back. I don't see that, like, he sees that there's probably not a bright future in the next year or two. So yeah, that's why I feel like he's gone. And Creed's a guy I really liked always. Last year, I liked him. I thought he was definitely underutilized. Yesterday, like driving before this even came out, I was thinking, like, man, usually when a player transfers, like, I don't really like them a whole lot when they leave and stuff. But Creed's a guy, if he did enter the transfer portal, I'd understand a lot more. And I hope for the best success for him. I think he is going to be successful wherever he lands. And yeah, but I mean, he still hasn't entered the transfer portal yet, but it just looks like it. But I
Right.
just really hope this isn't something that's going to happen in the future with even more Bulldogs. I think that would be absolutely terrible. And this season would just get worse if we're just losing guys. But he's another guy we could have definitely developed this year and given a lot more reps to. But he's probably entering the portal, so we'll see for sure. We
Well,
don't know exactly, but it hurts.
yeah, and it seems like, we think about former Bulldogs that have entered the portal. There's really only been two that's been fairly documented that left for NIL reasons. Most of the people like either just weren't really playing, um, or had like Xavier Thomas went to LSU. Some people say that even that is not necessarily NIL related because Mississippi State was right up there with what LSU was offering. Some people even say more. Um, Ra Thomas is a guy that for sure had a better opportunity. I mean, you're at Georgia and was offered more money, and he left. And so I get it. Yeah, with some of those guys, you go, we'll see how it works out. But yeah, with Creed, it's just kind of an unfortunate thing. Like, it just seems like every time he got on the field, there was the potential for good things to happen, and he didn't get on the field enough. I mean, and in the end, that seems like what happened. And obviously, Mississippi State had more wide receiver talent come in this year as opposed to last year. But he's really talented. He's a guy that it would not surprise me at all if he transfers somewhere and next season is dynamite, because he's a great athlete. He played quarterback in high school in Florida. Really, really dynamic with the ball, really shifty, and so anyway, Mississippi State used him on several jet sweeps. He got good has good burst out of a slant. But yeah, this was going to hurt Mississippi State for sure. But wish Creed all the best. It's a weird time in college football, and we all know that. But it seems like it gets weirder every week. Like, there's something else every week that we're going, wait, what? Like you mentioned, the guys at UNLV, they're shutting down their season. Like, he didn't get paid everything he was promised. Well, what was he really promised? It is an odd deal. But look, the Bulldogs, we talked about this in previous episodes, but Mississippi State has an opportunity in the portal. Wide receiver, because of this offense and the potential of this offense, seems like an area where Jeff Lebby already has shown he can get guys out of the portal. I'm not super concerned about wide receiver as much as this hurts. They need some influx of defensive linemen. They need an influx of linebackers. They need an influx of guys in the secondary. So as much as this hurts, man, Mississippi State has a lot of other issues to circle and make sure that they fix, because otherwise, and you and I talked about the differences in between this team and past Mississippi State teams, where at least you could say, look, we have some guys on defense. Maybe they're not executing and doing the scheme correctly, but right now the scheme and the guys for Mississippi State's defense are not looking good. And we have Texas, or they're going to Texas in Austin, where they are a 38-point underdog versus Texas. We'll get to that game here in just a little bit. But first, we want to look at a couple of the matchups. There's some SEC games that are huge. Austin, you saw this past week, Hugh Freeze was under a lot of fire after he mentioned, after the Arkansas loss, that Auburn could have won that game or should have won that game 9 times out of 10. This just happened to be, I guess, the one where they would lose. Auburn does not have a quarterback. Oklahoma's coming off of a loss against a very good Tennessee team. But you have Auburn playing against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's defense is a lot better than it has been in previous seasons. I know a lot of people are not used to that. Currently, Oklahoma is a 2.5-point favorite against Auburn. This one is in Auburn. So, Austin, who are you taking in this game?
Oh man, I gotta take Oklahoma. I really don't feel good about Auburn right now. They lost against Arkansas, and then they lost. They lost against Arkansas, and then stuff's just not looking good. Hugh Freeze, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I mean, dude, you're the one who didn't get a transfer portal quarterback. I mean, that was literally your job. And so I don't understand what he's, doing all that complaining about. And I mean, Hank Brown's just a sophomore. I mean, Peyton Thorne, you saw him literally last year. And so I don't really know. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And so Oklahoma, I think Anthony Hawkins is their backup quarterback who's going to get the start. I mean, people are really excited about him in Oklahoma, and I think he's going to get the job done. But I think Oklahoma's defense being good, they kept Josh Heupel's explosive offense from looking very, very good. And so, yeah, give me Oklahoma. I think, probably about 10 points, but I really don't think Auburn's going to win this game. They have a lot to figure out.
They do, yeah. It seems like they have, and they recruited well at the wide receiver position, but they just don't have anybody who can get them the ball. Oklahoma, it is funny though. Seeing Oklahoma not have an offense that's averaging 30 or above is very odd. In my entire lifetime, that's all I've ever known. Honestly, I guess that's really everybody's lifetime. They have been a dominating offensive team. And now the script is flipped. Like now they have a defense that they have been praying for. I mean, they have wanted a defense that could only give up, or hold somebody from under 25 for a long time. But unfortunately, what that ended up costing was every bit of offensive success somehow. But you're right. Having Hawkins in there should help. Jackson Arnold just didn't look comfortable. I don't know. It was odd. I do remember when Mississippi State hired Jeff Lebby, there was a lot, not a little, like there was a lot of fans. Like I don't think there's anybody from a credible paper or something, but there's a lot of fans from Oklahoma mentioning that good riddance, man, get this guy out of here. Like, oh geez, I'm glad you have him. And Oklahoma was I believe number 4 in total offense last season in the nation out of everybody. And now, man, oh man, what they would wish for even half of that. Yeah, I'm going to take Oklahoma. As you mentioned, Oklahoma is a 2.5-point favorite. I think Oklahoma. I don't think this is going to be some sort of blowout by two or three touchdowns. But yeah, I'm taking them and by a touchdown or so in this game. There's just no juice for Auburn at the moment. There's no momentum, and when there's no momentum, man, it's tough to get people involved, it's tough to get people excited, and they don't have it. For Oklahoma, you can at least say, all right, they've got a defense that can do some things, that can stop some people. If they can get some things on the offensive side of the ball, we at least have the defensive side fixed. But for Auburn, man, there's not a lot of juice at the moment. But we'll see. Great coaches get paid a lot of cash to fix things, and this is an opportunity to do it. Then you have Arkansas and Texas A&M in Jerry World. They're in Dallas for the last time that they are going to be playing in Dallas. Is going back to the campuses, I believe, after next season, if I'm not mistaken. Texas A&M is a 4-point favorite over the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas has been led by quarterback Taylon Green, who has been so dynamic, so good, and then just so randomly bad. When I say so good, he is a really athletic guy. So he can get out of the pocket. He can make some plays happen by extending what's going on. How do you see this game shaking out, Austin? Because A&M, while it's not like A&M's not an exciting team at the moment, but they're winning. So that has something to do with it. But in this game, every time this game is played, I feel like it's so much fun to watch. As long as you don't have any sort of emotional investment with this game, it really is is a good watch for everybody else. This past Saturday, though, A&M beat Bowling Green by only 6. I know Bowling Green's got Connor Bazelak and can play a little bit. But a week before that, they beat Florida by 13. Who do you have in this game, Austin?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, Arkansas really hasn't, done a whole lot. I mean, they did play well against Oklahoma State. They lost that game, but they played very well. Taylor Green played well. And I think the quarterback is going to be the main X factor. I think Marcel Reed is going to play again for A&M. He can really make plays. I mean, he threw 4 touchdowns last week, I think. He can really make plays, extend plays, just like Taylor Green. And when it comes just to talent, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, A&M blows on most teams, a lot of teams out of the water just because they have so much talent. But, I mean, can they utilize that talent? This would be a massive win for Mike Elko. And I mean, this is kind of a toss up, but I feel like even no matter what, I feel like it's a toss up every single year. And
Yeah.
I mean, I like both teams, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's tough. I'm gonna give the edge to A&M, but I really could see both teams pulling this out. But I really think it's going to come down to quarterback play and who wants to play the best. And I think the quarterback that plays the best is going to take the dub. But I mean, Taylor Green in Jerry World, it might just be, I don't know. We'll see how he plays. But give me A&M. I don't know how confident I feel about that, but yeah, give me A&M for right now.
Yeah, it seems like A&M has more guys. I mean, like Arkansas is coming off the 10-point win against Auburn, but as we just got finished saying, I just don't. Auburn's not very good. So, and while Taylor Green can make some plays, I don't know. I don't know if I trust him in a big spot when the game's on the line, and a lot of eyes are going to be on people in Jerry World against a top 25 team in A&M. So, no, I'm taking A&M, but I would not be shocked if this is a field goal game. This seems like every year it comes to the last second or goes to overtime. But this is going to be a very good watch at 2:30 Central if you are near a TV. A couple more games to get to. Let's go ahead and cover this one: Mississippi State and Texas. Texas, as we mentioned before, is a 38-point favorite over Mississippi State. Head coach Steve Sarkisian was talking about who he was going to end up starting in this game, whether it be Arch Manning or Ewers, and so he's going back and forth. I don't think it's been officially mentioned if like who is going to be starting this game. Now, in the end, it doesn't really matter. I think both guys end up probably having the exact same effect. But yeah, at the moment, Quinn Ewers is still listed as questionable on the injury report. Really, Ewers does not need to play, and so I imagine Arch Manning is going to be rolling out there to play Mississippi State. For the Bulldogs, they are starting freshman quarterback Michael Van Buren, and they have a true freshman on the road. They're in Austin, Texas. Austin, what is do you think Texas ends up covering 38?
I mean, I said 55-13, and I still stand by that. I mean, nothing changed. I think. I mean, I don't even know who their third string is. He could be the starter. I think. I genuinely don't think the score would change. Yeah, I think that. I mean, whoever the quarterback is, just going to pick us apart, and so yeah. I mean, I still have 55-13. Michael Van Buren's. We're not going to score a lot of points, I don't think. And just because I mean, it's just, I mean, literally, what harder? I mean, unless it was like the SEC championship or something, like what harder opportunity? You got to go play the number one team on the road, and then our next game. I mean, if Georgia beats Alabama, they'll probably be the number one team. Then you got to go on the road again to the another number one team. I mean, it's just like, dude, Michael Van Buren can't win. I mean, it's terrible for him. I mean, poor guy, but. Yeah, I mean,
Do you think
I
there's ever
still stand
been
by
any
55-13.
coach? Do you think that there's ever been any quarterback start his career off as a true freshman going on back-to-back games like that? Like, think about that in history.
There's no shot. I mean, it has to be probably an SEC team, but I mean, I don't think there's any shot. Their first 2 games, no. I mean, at least we're gonna make some kind of history this year, but that's gonna be about the only history we make this year.
So Austin has Texas covering the 38. Yeah, no, I feel the same way, man. Mississippi State, what this game will show, if anything, if Michael Van Buren has any sort of quality development trait, maybe he shows some things in this game. I think, man, the unfortunate thing is he has the ability to move in the pocket. We saw in this past game. Mississippi State they just don't want to get him hurt for the rest of the season. You don't want to be down to your third string the 6th game of the season, so keep him as safe as you can be, but Texas is probably going to come after him and rattle him as much as he already is rattled just by being in the stadium. Yeah, this one's going to be pretty bad. I would not at all be surprised by a 40-10 kind of score in this game, or 50 to 40. Honestly, would be pretty low, but 50-10 as a final score. We'll be able to see for Mississippi State though. You're wanting to see Van Buren make some plays for the defense. I mean, at this point, you're looking for anybody who shows potential for next season or shows potential to be used for the rest of the year. Because right now, I mean, you do have the leading tackler in the nation in Isaac Smith, but he's a strong safety. So people are getting to the second and third level, getting up to him. But and he's probable in this game. He's not even for sure playing, which is just it's going to be a rough Saturday, man. Going to be a rough Saturday. But you can look for some things to you can look for some players to see who's ready to play, who's ready to go, and who wants to play too. Because when you're down big by a really good opponent, you will be able to, you'll be able to see who wants to be there and who doesn't. And for Michael Van Buren, you also have the ability to see, man, is this a guy that can play, starting against Texas and then at Georgia? I mean, literally does not get any bigger than that. Cannot get any bigger than that as a true freshman. So if he makes it through those, that's positive. Like for Mississippi State, you can look through and say, okay, well, this guy's already gone through the hardest thing, also makes that UMass game later on in the season look a little bit easier because you're like, look, what else could we be thrown at him? Georgia and Alabama in Tuscaloosa, 6:30 kickoff. The former president is going to be there. College Game Day is going to be there. Lee Corso is going to be there. Pat McAfee is going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. There's senators that are going to be there from Alabama. This is a huge game. Georgia is favored in this game over Alabama by, I want to say 3.5. I don't have it put up in front of me, but it's
two.
Very, very close. 2. Okay. Yeah. So I got you. Okay. By 2. Austin, who do you have in this game and why?
Whew, I mean, this is a very tough prediction. I've gone back and forth with pretty much every single 2020, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago when they both went to the SEC championship, I said Alabama would win, then Georgia won. Last year at the SEC championship, I said I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to pick Alabama, and then Georgia won. No, I picked Georgia 2 years ago, then Alabama won, and then last year I was like, I'm not doing that again. I picked Alabama, and then Georgia won. So I don't know. It keeps going back and forth, but I'm gonna go with Georgia. I think last year, I mean, they went undefeated. They were the number 1 or number 2 team, and then they lost, and then now all of a sudden they're just out of the playoff after winning like 29 games straight or whatever. I think that's going to really affect them. That's going to give them a lot of juice to want to beat the brakes off Alabama. They didn't had a bad game against Kentucky, but I mean that's the SEC for you. They're going to have bad games. Even when Georgia won the national championships, they still, I mean, had 1 or 2 bad games. You're like, what the heck? I mean, they were still in a game with Kent State at halftime one week, and I was like, what the heck? So I think that's going to happen. But I mean, Alabama, they've looked good. They had a good win against Wisconsin on the road. They looked terrible against USF though. So I'm gonna give that to Georgia. Kirby Smart, I think, is better than Kalen DeBoer. Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe. Honestly, about the skill level, I would probably give it to Milroe a little bit, but I think Georgia takes the edge over Alabama. But I think it's going to be a heck of a game.
Well, you think Milroe's a better quarterback than Beck, like overall?
I think overall, I think he is. I think he can just make more things happen. And they have around the same talent level wide receiver. I mean, if I had to pick, I would probably give it to Milroe. I think so.
Well, Milroe can make the plays outside. I mean, he can scramble, like he can get loose, but I mean, I don't think he's had a game this season that he's thrown for over 200 yards. He's not like I don't know. To me, he's not a great passer. But Carson Beck, I'm not like amazingly high on Carson Beck, but like for whatever reason, there's some NFL teams that are. I guess he's just, I don't know. He's consistent. He seems safe, but man, yeah, this will be interesting. But they both have like big game experience, and then you got like the Kirby storyline of like, man, you're right. Like he struggled versus Alabama, but now like Nick's gone. But is it? I don't know. This is going to be such a big game, and we've known it's going to be a big game. You do wonder about the fallout if Alabama loses this game. There shouldn't be fallout either way because these are both 2 really good teams, obviously 2 top 5 teams. But you do have to wonder if some Alabama fans are going to be very upset if they lose this game with all the eyes and the eyes of the former president on the game, and they end up losing this one. I don't know. Again, they shouldn't. but I could just see it, right? Of just some folks like, well, look, I mean, I know it's early, but I don't know. I could certainly see it happening. Um, Ole Miss and Kentucky. Ole Miss is a 17.5 point favorite over Kentucky on Saturday morning. They played 11 a.m. Kentucky has showed that they have some defensive capabilities. Offensively, man, they've struggled. They beat Ohio last week after a slow start. Ole Miss has been humming. I think so far this is Ole Miss's hardest competition by a long shot. Um, who wins this game, Austin, and by how much?
That's interesting. I don't think Brock Vandagriff has a chance of scoring whatever Ole Miss is going to score. I really don't. I think Ole Miss is going to still light up the scoreboard, and and I say they probably score. Shoot, I mean they do have a good offense. I'm gonna say it's going to be 34 to. Let's say 34-17 Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss is just so explosive. And I mean, I think Lane Kiffin's going to have his boys ready. I mean, he knew all those other games were cupcakes. And so this is a big game for Lane Kiffin just to show that they're legit. I mean, anybody can, a lot of average teams can go out and beat the 4 teams that they played. And so I think this is Ole Miss's time to show that they are legit for sure.
You're right. Kiffin seems to have done a good job of managing the expectations. I've been really interested in watching how he's handled this season because he knows everybody's talking about him. He knows, and then he also knows and has kind of acknowledged the competition he's gone up against thus far. Like, I mean, they played nobody. But yeah, you're right. Kentucky does. Kentucky gets their running back in this game for I think the first game of the season. The guy who was supposed to really do well with him. And if as you mentioned, Brock Vandagriff, I'm with you. Like, really, it's going to be no competition on which quarterback's better. But if Kentucky can run the ball and hold on to the ball, keep that time possession, this game could be a little closer than what people are initially saying. So I like that pick. I think that's very possible. Yeah, Austin has it exactly right at 17, 34-17 being the final score. Yeah, Ole Miss wins this game for sure. Kentucky has an opportunity, though, and they do have a good defense. I think Kentucky makes this one. I don't know. That line at 17 really is really good. It's hard to say anything underneath that. I think that one probably is right on the money because I want to say a little under that, but I don't think Kentucky can keep up. And Ole Miss is a quick strike, over the top offense that in just a matter of moments they can go back over that. So yeah, Ole Miss will win that game. But at least they are playing some competition that folks can get excited for going up against them. And I know Kentucky's going to be excited because that close loss against Georgia was frustrating, but they at least showed they got some dudes on defense, and now they're getting a very important piece back on the offensive side of the ball. Illinois and Penn State. I really wanted to talk about this game. Illinois beats Nebraska last week. Starkville High School quarterback Luke Altmaier helped lead the way for the Illini. Has really played very well this season. Penn State, they've had some. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but they've had some struggles this season. Penn State is favored by 18 over Illinois. I don't know about that. I don't know about it. Austin, who do you have in this game, and by how much?
I'm gonna take the under on that for sure. But I mean, Brett Bielema, don't get me wrong, he's got the Illinois playing very well, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It's going to be, I think, is it at Penn State? I mean, I think it is at Penn State, and so
it's a night game at Penn State too.
Yeah, so I'm not taking that. I think James Franklin, Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, they got a lot of guys on that offense. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I really like Illinois this season. They're a very fun team. Luke Altmaier, obviously, we know him. Ole Miss fans know him very well. I think that, yeah. I mean, I think I'm taking the under, but yeah, give me Penn State.
It's a weird thing. For some reason, if I felt like if this game was played at 11 a.m. versus 6:30, I feel a little bit different about it. I think Illinois has it sounds so silly, but I think Illinois has a legit shot at upsetting them if this game's played early, just because Penn State showed in that Bowling Green game that, man, they can get out of the door very slow, and Illinois is looking for opportunities. So, yeah, this will be an interesting game that I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about. But Illinois is number 18 in the nation versus top 10 ranked or number 9 overall ranked Penn State. This is going to be a good game. I'm with you. I'm taking Penn State. I think it's going to be a lot closer than 18, though. I think Penn State could end up winning this game by a touchdown, and I would not be shocked at all. Illinois showed a lot of really good promise this season and shown the ability to play with guys who are really talented. They went Luke Allmeyer went toe to toe with Dylan Raiola last week in a really, really good game. And so, yeah, all right. So those are our picks for the bigger games of the week. This is going to be an exciting week of college football. I'm really pumped about it. I did want to ask really quick about Louisville and Notre Dame. Notre Dame, man, I don't know. They're almost spiraling at this point. There's a lot of smoke around, people in the media. So who knows if that's really real? But about the direction of the head coach at Notre Dame, and Louisville is a team that can score some points. So Louisville's coming in on the road to Notre Dame at 2:30 kickoff. Louisville this season they beat Georgia Tech by 12. They destroyed Jacksonville State. They destroyed Austin Peay for whatever that's worth. But Georgia Tech is a good team. They got to win over them. Who do you have in this game, Austin?
Yeah, I think this game could go either way. I really do. But I think give me Louisville. I think that Notre Dame, I don't know how they're still ranked. I mean, Notre Dame never really plays anybody, and then they've lost to Northern Illinois. So I don't understand how they're ranked. I mean, every year they're ranked in the top 10 to start out the season, and then I mean I don't know when the last time they ended in the top 10. So yeah, give me Louisville. They got Tyler, I think Show's how you say his name, from Texas Tech. He's been balling for them at quarterback. Yeah, give me Louisville. I think it's Jeff Brom's second year there. I think so. And he's gotten the boys coached up, and I really don't think that. I mean, Riley Leonard's had an off game. I mean, an off season so far. And so if he can pick it back up and turn into Duke, Mike Elko, Riley Leonard, I mean, I think they would easily win. But yeah, give me Louisville.
Yeah, and what's funny is Notre Dame's actually favored in that game by 6.5. I mean, they have some confidence they're going to win that game. Seems as if back-to-back years, Notre Dame probably has not gotten what they paid for at quarterback. Last year they had Sam Hartman, and there's all kinds of crazy numbers thrown out about how much they'd pay him. Now they get Riley Leonard, and solid guy, but for what you're probably paying for him, you're not really getting a great return. So yeah, this should be an interesting matchup. If they were to lose this game, I mean, Louisville's not a bad team, so it's not like this is a bad loss, but even more folks would be fired up after that. It is very weird to think about, but Notre Dame beat A&M to start the season. That seems like a far cry since that happened. The past couple weeks that Notre Dame's looked good, but versus lesser competition, they beat Purdue by 59 points. They beat Miami of Ohio by 25. And their schedule really does rank up after this. So you got Louisville, then you host a Stanford team that is a lot more talented than people give credit. Then they go on the road at Georgia Tech. They've got Navy. Their host Florida State. They end the season versus USC. So it should be interesting to see what direction they go in. But that is going to wrap up this week 5 picks and previews on the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. Man, we're so excited for you guys to stick around and listen to us. We thank you so much for listening to us. Austin, any final closing thoughts for this week?
Yeah, it's going to be great college football Saturday. Get out, watch some football, eat some good barbecue, just do what you can. And Hail State, just try to be as positive as you can. And, do something that makes you happy. If you like ice cream, go out Saturday night and get you some ice cream after the game, because it's going to be rough.
He's trying to prepare everybody for Arch Manning and the Manning name to just carve up the secondary for Mississippi State. Because if Mississippi State is getting carved up by Toledo's quarterback and and Florida's quarterbacks that they had, dude, what is going to happen? What is going to happen when Arch Manning rolls out in the pocket? It is that's gonna be rough, man. That's gonna be very, very rough. So thank you guys so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. Hey, give us a follow on Twitter or X, whatever you'd like to call it, at My Dogs Pod. My Dogs Pod. You can keep up with us there. We talk about Mississippi State news, talk about national football news. Overall, man, we thank you guys so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast.